September 11th of 2001 was a very routine day for me. I was a major, deputy personnel officer for the Iowa Army National Guard, and I found out about the attacks on U.S. While I was at work that day. On September 11th was a Tuesday, and on that day, our adjutant general has a weekly staff meeting. And on my way to work, I had heard that there was a plane that had hit one of the towers in New York City. And I remember thinking, that is amazing that somebody could be such an inept pilot that they would hit one of the trade centers. So I continued to work, went into the office. People were talking about this aircraft hitting the airplane, hitting the office building, and we were then assembled into our weekly staff call, which started at 8:30 in the morning. And a few minutes into the meeting, as General Dardis facilitated and orchestrated that meeting, his deputy adjutant general for air, General Joe Lucas, entered the room and told us that the United States was under attack, that they have aircraft getting into the air at this time, and that we should all go back to our areas and prepare for additional guidance. I would say that the September 11th of 2001 basically was midway through my career. I was 17 years into a career. I've been in for 32 years at this point. And I would say that the last 15 years have been impacted significantly by the events of September 11th. First of all, there was an incredible amount of work associated with getting units prepared to deploy in support of Operation Enduring Freedom and Iraqi Freedom. Our first mission was to get one of our aviation maintenance companies down to support the 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. So very soon after that event took place, I went to Fort Campbell, Kentucky to meet with their team on personnel requirements associated with soldiers going to Fort Campbell to link up with their aviation maintainers to support future deployments. And then after that unit deployed, we had just about every unit in the Iowa Army National Guard that deployed over the next 24 months in support of one of those two missions, or in support of Operation Noble Eagle, which is securing some of our infrastructure here in the U.S. So we were very, very busy doing those events following, in the years following September 11th, 2001. Me personally, I was a major at that time, and in 2004, I took command of an engineer battalion, the 224th Engineer Battalion, which is located in Fairfield, Iowa, and that battalion deployed in October of 2004. Spent 10 weeks at Fort Sill, Oklahoma. Deployed to Iraq on January 1st of 2005, and we spent 2 weeks short of 1 year in the Hobart province of Iraq, in Ramadi, doing route clearance operations in support of the 2nd Marine Division, the 1st Marine Division, and about 7 brigade combat teams and regimental combat teams in the Hobart province. So following that, I came back to Iowa. I spent 3 years in recruiting. Everything about recruiting is connected very significantly to the current operating environment in the world. And many parents had great concerns about their children joining the Iowa Army National Guard at that time. And it was challenging trying to communicate the value added and of service at this significant time of need. But what we saw many thousands of Iowans stepping forward to serve, which I personally, as an Iowan and as an American, was and am very, very proud of. I mean, during those years, we averaged 1,000 enlistments every year, which is a tremendous thing during these challenging times of multiple deployments for soldiers. And one of our significant issues during that time was retaining people, quality NCOs and junior officers who were coming back from deployments, sometimes for a second and third time, asking them to remain to serve as leaders at this time when likely they will be returning to be placed in harm's way once again, and trying to convince their families that this was good for them and for us as an organization, which was very challenging. So, and since that time, I think the way we look at things has changed and will change forever based on that one event and all the events basically leading up to that one event. The one thing I would add is that before 9/11 and even after 9/11, I had heard people say, I'm not going to say disparaging things about today's youth, but a general maybe lack of confidence in their ability to do the job that our country needs them to do when we need them to do it. And even since 9/11, I hear people say, they start off a comment with the youth today, and followed by a negative diatribe about what they don't do well. And my response, if asked, is that I have seen America's youth in some incredibly challenging situations, doing an incredible amount of heavy lifting for our country. And I have all the confidence in the world in today's youth. And we're going to continue to depend on today's youth for future generations to continue to do the things that we as a country need to do around the world. One thing I'm very proud of is that I have 4 children, 3 sons. 2 of those sons have made the decision to serve. Both made the decision to serve as infantrymen. I have an older son that did a 6-year tour in the Iowa Army National Guard, deployed to Afghanistan, served on the Pakistani border with an infantry company, Company A, 1st Battalion, 168th Infantry, returned from that deployment, got out after 6 years, went back to college, finished his 4-year degree, and now lives a very quality life. Another son is on the same path, serving as an infantryman in that same infantry company, and it gives me a great deal of pride knowing that they've made a decision to step forward and serve in this time of our country's need. And I'm hoping that others, future generations of our young Americans, will make that same decision.